So in the previous class, student, we had done the High Court, about High Court. We had done the composition also of High Court, and I remember we have also done the qualifications, right? Now, yes, see, it is there, qualifications. The qualifications of the judges of a High Court. Okay, you might get a question based upon this. Write the qualifications of the judges of High Court, or they might ask you write the qualifications of the judges of Supreme Court, and this question might come for either 4 marks or 5 marks. So always remember, please write your answers in point form so that it becomes easier for you to study also, and while writing down an exam also it becomes easier. Okay, now today we are going to study the powers of High Court. Okay, let's see what are the different powers of High Court. Before I begin with this, let me just ask you, you remember I had to explain to you all about the powers of Supreme Court. Do you all remember any few powers? Can anybody just tell me what are the different... Yes, Vivan, please.
Ma'am, original jurisdiction, appellate
Very
jurisdiction,
good.
and advisory jurisdiction.
Very good. So these are the 3 different kinds. Okay, these are the kinds. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Of powers of Supreme Court. Okay. Original jurisdiction involves what?
Ma'am, involves for the first time involves the court directly for
the word original itself is telling you the meaning of the original jurisdiction, wherein they can directly approach the Supreme Court. Who can approach? In original jurisdiction,
disputes between union and state government.
Right, very good.
Disputes between state governments.
Very good.
Violation of the constitution by government or an
Violation of fundamental.
Very good, very good, very good.
Right by an individual.
Very good, very good. So you all remember those points. So now let us study about the powers of the High Court. The High Court is the highest court of justice in a state. A High Court has original jurisdiction that it can hear original cases. Yeah. All right. A High Court has original jurisdiction. That means it can hear original cases which is brought to it for the first time. All right. These cases can involve disputes concerning fundamental rights, number 1. Number 2, disputes concerning election petitions, and number 2, any disputes related to any individual person as well. Okay, so if at all there a person wants if any fundamental rights of a person has been violated, then in that case a person can directly approach the High Court. All right. And also election petitions, when there are cases of election petitions, in that also they can directly approach the High Court. That's the reason it is called as original jurisdiction. Okay, a High Court has appellate jurisdiction where it can hear appeals against judgments passed in subordinate courts such as district courts. Okay, so here also a High Court has an appellate jurisdiction. What does it mean? Appeal. You remember the word appeal.
Yes,
so to remember the entire description, what exactly happens in this particular jurisdiction. So what happens over here? It can hear appeals against, okay, the judgments of subordinate courts. Now, if I ask you to differentiate between this point of appellate jurisdiction with the, the point of Supreme Court. The Supreme Court hears the appeals of which court's judgment?
Against the judgments of the High Court.
Excellent, very good, Priyanshu. It hears the appeals against the judgment which is passed by the High Court. That is done by Supreme Court. But over here in High Court, which is the lower court after High Court, it is the subordinate court. So here what the High Court does, it hears the appeals which is against the judgment which is passed by the subordinate courts. Got the difference, students?
Yes,
all right, next, the High Court can review and change the decisions taken by the subordinate courts. Please underline. See, everything is same as we had learned for Supreme Court. But over there, Supreme Court can change the judgment of High Court. Supreme Court, can even review the judgments of High Court. But here, as High Court, whose judgment is High Court reviewing and changing? Subordinate
court.
Okay, got it, everyone? It can also transfer a case from one court to another court. Okay, this also happens in the High Court. Have you all understood till here, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A High Court also controls and supervises the functions of the subordinate courts. So, the subordinate courts works under the the control of the High Court. It's the High Court which controls and supervises the subordinate courts. Okay, under the supervision of High Courts, all the subordinate courts function. Now, next function is it has a revisory jurisdiction. What does the word revisory mean? I had explained to you all while explaining in Supreme Court.
Ma'am, it can review or rectify the any error or mistake it have made earlier.
Very good, very good. Revise, the word revisory comes from the word revision. Revision means revising again. So over here, you can, the word itself is giving you the meaning of the jurisdiction. What it is saying, that in case, it has revisory jurisdiction, that means in cases where it feels that lower courts have gone beyond their jurisdiction, it can revise their decisions. All right? Got this, everyone?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It maintains records of the proceeding. Please, can you just scroll down? Ask you can remove. It maintains records of the proceedings and decisions. These records serve as references for lower courts in future cases. Do you remember even the Supreme Court maintains the records of all the decisions taken by the Supreme Court. So whatever decisions are taken in Supreme Court, who reviews those decisions? It is the
revisory jurisdiction.
No, the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court is keeping a record of all the decisions and proceedings, who refers to the decisions of the Supreme Court? It is the High Court. But here, when the High Court is maintaining the record of all the proceedings and all the decisions, which court is referring to those decisions?
District courts.
Lower courts. Yes, you can just say lower courts. It can either be subordinate court or district court. So instead of that, you can just mention lower courts. Got it, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Next. Okay. Have you all understood till here? First, tell me. Have you all understood the powers?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
And why only Vivan is answering, Raj, Priyanshu, and he is also answering? Why? What about the rest? Have you all understood, Raj, Priyanshu, and
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Good. This is very important. Writs. Please mark it important next to it. And please encircle it. You will definitely get a question based upon this, either in the form of an objective type question or in a form of a short note. They might ask you to write a short note on this. Why? Because it is simple to remember and it is very important also. It's like a favorite question of all the most of the examiners. Both Supreme Court and the High Court are empowered by the Constitution of India to issue writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Okay, whether it is a Supreme Court or whether it is a High Court, both have the power that they can issue writs. Okay, for what? For enforcing the fundamental rights. Now let us understand. So we know from where, who can issue writs? Who can issue writs? It's the Supreme Court and the High Court. Now let us understand what exactly is a writ. Please underline. A dash is a form of a written command or a legal document giving order or direction to a person to act or not to act in a particular way. This is the definition, the meaning of the writ. What is a writ? It is a form of a written command. Okay. Or you can say it is a legal document. Okay. What is there in this legal document? It is giving the direction to a person and guiding the person how he is supposed to act or how he is not supposed to act in a particular way. That means the do's and don'ts in simple manner. Okay, and it is a written command, or you can also say it is a legal document. Have you understood the meaning of writ?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Vivan. Thank you so much for answering. Okay, now some of the writs are the underlying this. They can even ask you, give examples of the writs. Okay, the writs of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, quo warranto, etc. Now, these are the different, 5 different types, or you can say the kinds of writs. Okay. Now, this you might get a question in this. All these 4, 5 types are very important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 types. Now we'll understand each of this in detail. Okay. You might get a question, so I will definitely explain to you all each of the following. First one is which one, children?
Ma'am,
Habeas
habeas
corpus.
corpus.
Okay. Now what happens in this type of a writ? The Supreme Court or High Court can issue this writ, that means a written document, legal document, to somebody who has detained another person illegally. Please underline. Okay, this. Whom does this writ is given? This writ is given to whom? To a person who has detained another person illegally, or commanding him or her to bring the person into the court and to state the cause of arresting him or her. Okay. So,
Ma'am means he's the witness.
no. See, let me tell you one thing. He is, yeah, you can say in that form also, but you just cannot write witness directly. Is it, are they mentioning you witness? No, right? So this, if at all it is asked in the question, you need to understand this and you need to write as it is given in your text. So please understand. Now this particular writ is given by whom? By either the Supreme Court or the High Court. To whom it is given? It is given to some person who has been detained, who has detained another person illegally. Detained means what? Detaining means what? Anyone? Come on.
Ma'am,
Detained, arrested. Okay.
okay.
Yes, or commanding him or her to bring the person into the court and to state the cause of arresting him. So this is usually done by who will be involved in this case? Is it the normal Indian citizen or dash? Who arrests? Who arrests the criminals? Who arrests the? Yes. So if they are arresting, what they are doing? They need to give a reason, a proof to the court that these are the so and so causes on the basis of which we have arrested that particular person. There is a video based upon this. I will also show you the video if time persists, or else I'll share the link with you. Okay. Now, second is, have you understood the first one, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Hiya, for answering.
Ma'am, understood.
Thank you, Vivan.
I understood.
Okay, thank you, Priyanshu. One by one, you all are saying. Okay. So next is what? Which type of a writ?
Mandamus.
Mandamus. Okay. Now in this writ, what has happened? What happens? This writ is issued to compel a lower court or an official or individual to perform their duties and certain acts. Okay. For example, is it even if it is a lower court, any lower court or any government servant, you can say in that matter, an official means over here is any government servant or any individual who is not performing his duties, okay, as directed by the constitution. So in this case, the writ is issued to that particular person, either to that lower court if the lower court is not following the action or not performing the action, or a government employee If the government employee is not following, he is also given this written legal command, which is called as writ. Okay, got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Third
Yes, ma'am.
is prohibition. This writ can prevent a lower court from exceeding its jurisdiction and keeping it within the limits of its own jurisdiction. It can be used to check misuse of power. For example, see, now we all know every government officials have certain powers given to them by the government, right? They are enjoying certain powers, whether it is any lower court or any government offices. I will tell that. I will not mention either it can be defense or it can be anything. Now, whatever powers they have been given, all right. So if they are, misusing the power given to them, all right, then in that case, a written command is given to these people through writs. As simple as that. What it? Yes. Okay, so I'm reading it again. Yes, beta.
What does it mean that keeping it within the limits of its own jurisdiction?
Yeah, so making them, training them. See, to make them assure that they, even if the power is being given to them, they stick to their limits. They do not cross their limits. They do not misuse the power.
Okay.
Okay, so within the limits, as they're saying that to keep a person within his or her limits, you need to give some, warnings. You need to give them, scare them, something like that. So in that manner, prohibition, that means they are prohibited to misuse the power given to them by the government to make sure that they are staying within their limits. Got
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so next is what? Certiorari.
Certiorari.
Yes, this writ can be issued to compel lower courts to hand over the record of a particular case to a higher court. For example, if at all there is any case, which has been enrolled in lower court, all right, but then the lower court is, not able to give, justice, or not able to give proper justice. So in that case, this writ is issued, the written command is issued, where the lower court is asked to give that case, whatever case has been enrolled in lower court, that case they can give it is passed into the higher court. So now onwards, the higher court is going to deal with it. I just want to give you an example. Can you give me an example for this, the live example, if you are aware about it? Anyone? Which is the next writ?
Quo warranto.
Yes, quo warranto. What does quo warranto mean? This writ can be issued against a person who has wrongfully occupied an office. This happens in reality?
Yes.
Most of the positions are occupied wrongfully, or either by dominating the person, if it is a lower caste person, or if it is a poor person, they tend to dominate them, and they tend to occupy that particular place which is not which they are not deserving, right? So in that case, a legal command can be issued to that particular person who is dominating, okay, and taking the position wrongfully in an office. So in an office here means what? Which types of office? Private? Government
offices.
Okay, not the private, government offices. Got it, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, now just let us just quickly revise. What does writ mean?
Ma'am, yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, a writ is a form of written command or legal documents.
For what?
Giving, ma'am, for orders or direction to a person to not act in a
How he is
particular way.
supposed to act and how he is supposed to not act. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, in a particular way.
In a particular way. Very good. Now, how many types of writs are there?
Ma'am, five.
First one,
Habeas corpus.
what is there in this particular writ? Yes, here.
Yes, ma'am, in habeas corpus, if someone has arrested and person illegally and is giving a reason for why he has arrested the person, so then this writ is issued of habeas corpus.
Yes, yes. Okay. Next kind of which is the next type?
Mandamus.
Yes. Who will you explain what is involved
Yes,
in this?
ma'am.
Yes.
This writ is issued to compel to the lower court or the district court, or an official, ma'am, for an official or an individual to perform.
Don't read. Tell me what you understood. Don't read.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, should I explain from starting?
Yeah, explain me just this type. Explain me this type. Don't read.
Ma'am, in this writ, it is issued to compel.
Okay.
The
Compel to whom?
low courts, ma'am,
Low courts.
or an official, ma'am.
For what?
Official, ma'am, ma'am, for to perform his duties.
Okay. To perform that duties
Certain
and
acts.
certain acts. Okay. Next prohibition, Raj.
Prohibition is a writ that is issued so that the higher courts can prevent the lower courts from misusing their powers and exceeding their limits.
Very good. Very good. You know, I asked you to explain this because you had a question related to this,
Yes,
right? Okay. Next writ. Priyanshu, explain.
And the next writ is certiorari, which is issued to compel the lower court so that they can hand over the record of a case to the to another higher court.
Yes. Yes. Okay. They can. It is issued to the lower court so that they can hand over any particular case to the higher court. All right. Very good. Next is anybody who would like to answer? You.
Ma'am, may
Okay,
I?
go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
Ma'am, so this is co-warrantor where if a person occupies an office, a government office in a wrong manner, then the co-warrantor
Writ is issued. Okay. To that particular person. Very good. Vivan, you wanted to add to say something related to this, or you want to repeat?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I would add
Yeah.
something.
Go
ma'am.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Ma'am, it is issued if someone is occupying an private office. That
Private. Is it mentioned private over there?
Ma'am, no.
Hmm.
Ma'am, wrongfully occupied an
Huh.
office, ma'am, but it should not be government. It should be an private office, ma'am.
Okay. So what happens if they are they have occupied it wrongfully? Then
Ma'am, they can go to the low court.
to
then
whom is this writ issued?
Ma'am, the person, ma'am, individual.
Okay, the person who has wrongfully occupied, to that person. Okay,
Yes.
fine. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Raj, Priyanshu, and others. Everyone
Yes, ma'am.
clear?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, in the hierarchy, after Supreme Court, High Court, which is the next one?
Ma'am,
District or subordinate courts.
Subordinate courts or district courts. Now, we all know that subordinate courts are the ones which is below High Court, right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Vivan, mute yourself.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay. So below each high court, there are several lower courts which are called as subordinate courts. So below high court, there are various subordinate courts. Now these courts are under the control of high court. There are three types of subordinate courts. Please underline, you will get a question. Name the three types of subordinate courts. Number one, civil courts. Number two, criminal courts. Number three, revenue courts. You remember before, while I was doing the introduction of these chapters, we had discussed few cases, civil cases, criminal cases, revenue cases. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
he is smiling. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happens in civil? Let me just revise. Can anybody tell me civil courts? Yes, Sia.
Whatever the disputes of the society, the common people, whatever disputes and arguments is there, so that can be in the civil courts that.
Okay. Okay. Criminal.
Criminal courts are those courts which handle the cases regarding someone who has illegally committed a crime, criminals.
crime. What type of a crime?
Ma'am,
A
any
murder.
Okay, murder, killing. Okay, fine. Revenue,
ma'am, it is
Ma'am,
regarding
about land. Land
Land
and
and
money.
property disputes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, property disputes. Okay. Clear everyone, the three types?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Next is panchayat courts. Okay. In a panchayati system at the village level, there are small law courts called as Nyaya Panchayats. Nyaya means what?
Nyaya means
Justice.
Justice. Nyaya means justice. So, what happens in a village? There are lots of small courts, okay, in a village, in the panchayat. And what are those small law courts called as?
Nyaya
Panchayat.
Nyaya
Nyaya Panchayat.
Okay, where Nyaya means justice. Okay, often there is one panchayat court for a number of villages. Nyaya panchayats try petty civil and criminal cases such as trespassing, personal disputes, minor thefts, etc. They can impose fines up to 100 rupees only. Appeals can be made to higher courts against the decision taken in the Nyaya courts. Okay, so Nyaya courts, it is done on a smaller level. Okay, it is related. It solves all minor disputes of the village. Okay, and in this, what type of cases are dealt in this in Nyaya courts, children?
Ma'am, petty civils and criminal cases.
Okay, petty civil and criminal cases, such as what? Can you give me?
Ma'am, trespassing, personal disputes, and minor thefts.
And if a person is found guilty, what is the fine? What do
Ma'am,
they do?
100 rupees only.
impose a fine of 200 rupees.
Ma'am, it's too low.
So you will keep on people will keep on committing crimes. 100
Yes,
rupees
ma'am.
is not a big deal. But then we are in urban areas. So for us, we are finding it. It is just 100 rupees only. What a big deal. But for them, in people who are staying in villages, for them that's a big amount.
Okay, ma'am.
So now, if at all, if the person is not happy with the decisions taken by Nyaya Panchayats, what the person can do?
They can appeal to the higher.
You can go to
Very
the
good.
district courts.
Very good. They can appeal to the higher courts.
District court. Ma'am, they can go to the Zilla Parishad also.
They can, yes, they can higher courts. So it depends upon them. Or,
Okay.
district courts, which courts they can. It is just that they can appeal to the higher courts. Fine. I think it's time up. There's still time for the class.
Ma'am, 3
On
minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay. Lok adalats. Lok means
People.
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 adalat.
Court.
Court.
Okay, got it?
Yes.
Now let's see what is there in Lok Adalat. The process of obtaining justice through law courts is a lengthy and expensive procedure in our country. Do you all agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Forget about expensive, it is lengthy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That is for sure. Expensive, it is expensive nowadays, but it is become lengthy also. Okay, so that is there. Now, in order to provide quicker and cheaper judicial services, okay, in order to have quick decisions and cheaper judicial services, what people can do? They can approach the Lok Adalats. Okay, for them, Lok Adalats have been set up. Now, this Lok Adalat, this is very important. The first Lok Adalat was held at Delhi in in the year
1985.
Yes. Okay. So this and it settled almost 150 cases in one day.
OMG.
Wow. Keep it up, Vivan. Okay. Keep it up. Okay. It settles how many cases, Vivan? He's also laughing. See,
Ma'am, 150.
in what? In a day.
A day.
That's the reason it is quicker and cheaper. And that's the reason most of us like such courts, right? why people do not approach courts? Because they do not want to go with a lengthy procedure, and they do not have that much of money to spend in that, because they don't know whether the decision will be in their favor or not. So whatever money they have invest in that will all go in vain. So that's the reason people usually do not prefer going to courts. Now, lok adalats are usually presided by dash judges.
Ma'am,
Okay.
retired judges.
Retired.
Yes. So usually that's the reason it's cheap now. He is laughing. Okay. The disputing parties can argue with their cases directly without advocates. Okay.
Oh,
So why it is cheaper? You need advocates.
because
Right?
advocate takes money
Yes,
from us.
but then now in this lok adalat, what happens is, if
No
the
advocate.
people are disputing, they can directly, fight their cases without having any advocates in between. So can you just imagine the situation, the chaotic
Yes,
situation?
ma'am.
So
Ma'am, there
there are
will be a fight.
discussions in the court, there are persuasions in the court, there are compromises in the courts going on, and all are encouraged to settle the disputes. Enjoying?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
enjoying. Okay. So this is lok adalat. Lok adalat are becoming popular because they provide affordable and speedy justice. Everybody will prefer to it. And just imagine people fighting their own cases without any advocates. I don't know what references they
Ma'am,
have.
it's horrible.
Yeah, but then people will still choose this. Why? Because they're speedy
Because it's cheaper.
and speedy also. Speedy also.
Yes.
There and then, in one day they are solving how many cases?
150 cases in one day.
So you can imagine. So 150 disputes are resolved each day. So there and there they get the decision. You are right, you are wrong. You are victim, you are the criminal.
But ma'am, if the person is fighting for what is right, then how can it be like?
They are in the lok adalats. They are fighting their own cases, but there is a person listening to them. He is the one who's going to take the decision. Okay.
Ma'am, they can't fight, ma'am, legal. Ma'am, they can't fight, ma'am.
Fight means what? What do you mean by
Ma'am,
fight?
ladai, ma'am, jhagda, ma'am. Ma'am, hitting each
Physical.
other.
Do you mean a physical fight?
Yes,
Then
ma'am.
they don't need to approach to lok adalats. That they can do even on streets, isn't it, Vivan?
Yes.
Why to waste lok adalats time? The retired judges' time over here. Okay, next legal aid. Okay, I'll stop here. Then I'll
Ma'am, we have
continue
finished
the
this chapter in 1 minute only, ma'am.
1 minute. No. I'll stop here and then I'll continue in the next class. Okay. Please
Ma'am,
join
but
on
what
time.
will-
Priyanshu, please join on time, beta.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, but what will happen if everybody will start using lok adalats? And then what will happen to that Supreme
Yes, ma'am.
Court?
And
See,
High Court.
it is that everybody is not going to first of all use lok adalats. I'll tell you why. Because most of the people who are educated, who don't know, they will not get into this mess, right? First of all, they will prefer giving money. They will wait, right? If
Yes.
I ask you your decision,